Hello, everyone. May our God bless you greatly. Good morning. Welcome to our meditation on the book, our bread for 365 days. On this beautiful Tuesday here in Fiji, yes, the 4th day of July. Those watching us from America, happy 4th of July. They celebrate in America the Independence Day. And may God give you spiritual freedom as well. Freedom from sickness, freedom from diseases, from infirmity, but above all, freedom from a spirit of defeat or a defeated spirit. May God set you free from the inner bondage a man has within himself. Some people, demons fight against them. There is a spiritual force of evil holding them back. But some other people, it's not even a spiritual force of evil holding them back. Their own spirit is holding them back. They have the spirit of procrastination within themselves. They are unable to move forward because inside of them, they don't believe they can. Just like the story of Gideon. His brothers went to fight. They died at Tabor. The sons of his mother died at Tabor. But Gideon was still in Ophrah, yes, tilling or preparing the wheat in the wine press, salvaging some sort of maintenance for his family until God came to him. And God called him to do something amazing. And these amazing things was also dangerous. This amazing thing was also life-threatening to him because he had to bring down the altar of Baal. He had to cut down the wooden image by it. He had to vandalize a religious site that the people of his city would worship their God. That led death threats to him. But God said, build the altar in the proper arrangements, and there, on that altar, you make a sacrifice to me. The altar of Baal had sacrifices upon, but the altar of God was empty. Perhaps you are used to making sacrifices to many things. You sacrifice for your future. You sacrifice for your family, and the mother knows very well what it is to sacrifice for the family. You make many sacrifices, many altars, but perhaps the altar of God is empty. It's been a while since you went through it and you actually showed your dependence on God. Yes, it's been a while. Perhaps in the past campaigns you have been giving offerings. You have been, saying, God, here is my offering. But inside of you, you have not sacrificed. When was the last time the altar of God was with your sacrifice? In Ophrah of the Abiezrite, the altar of Baal had sacrifices, but the altar of God had no blood on it, to the point of God telling Gideon to rebuild it. He built one, as a matter of fact. He built one, but there was no sacrifice. And God said to Gideon, rebuild in the proper arrangements and make a sacrifice on it. Go to the altar with your sacrifice, with your show of dependence, and don't shy away from the altar, because your Midianites, your Amalekites will have to fall. They need you to fall. And the greatest of all achievements will be the exchange of the Spirit. Okay? Well, more about that later on tonight at 9 p.m. here, Fiji time, with the empowering word at 9 from the altar. And the altar of the Universal Church is active. Make it active with your action of dependence. So let us go now to the meditation on this 4th day of July, also the 185th day of this current year, And the title of our meditation is Crying in the Desert. Then we open quote to the book of Genesis chapter 21 verse 15 through to 17. When the water in the skin was gone, he put the boy under one of the bushes. Then she went off and sat down about a ball shot away, for she thought, I cannot watch the boy die. And as she sat there, she began to sob. God heard the boy crying, and the angel of God called to Hagar from heaven and said to her, What is the matter, Hagar? Do not be afraid. God has heard the boy crying as he lies there. And this boy was none other than Abraham's son Ishmael. Hagar and her son Ishmael were in the desert when she had nothing more to live on. She threw the towel. She threw in the towel. She began to sob. Shows that she didn't cry discreetly. But the angel of God didn't comfort her. Instead, he said, What is the matter, Hagar? He wasn't touched by Hagar's sobbing. In fact, he ignored all her drama. What caught his attention was the boy's voice. God heard his voice because he was a descendant of Abraham, and because the promise that God had made to Abraham extended to all his descendants. He heard the voice of the boy. It seems, given the circumstances, that Ishmael felt the right to demand the fulfillment of God's promise to his father. This is faith. It was all or nothing. Riding on the faith of his emotional mother, who just looked at the circumstances, he didn't stand a chance. So there, under the bush, where he'd been left to die, he silently made himself heard. God didn't hear the voice of Hagar's emotions, but he heard the voice of Ishmael's faith. You may not have any strength. You may not have anyone to turn to. You may not have any prospects. But there is a force inside of you. Your faith. The only thing that can move God's hand. He didn't hear Hagar's sobbing, but he heard Ishmael's faith. Highlight for today. Don't appeal to God through pity. He doesn't respond to sorrow, but to faith. That's what God responds to faith. And if you live in faith, and from faith to faith, the answer of God will be speedily. Don't delay the answer of God. Live by faith. All right, friends. Well, you still have time to make it for our service at 10 o'clock in the morning if you're struggling with diseases or simply you want more of the presence of God. As today is also the 10th day of the fasting of Daniel. We are approaching half mark of these 21 days. So come and join us so you can seek more for Him, and in these last few days, who knows, be filled by His presence as well. Okay, and this coming Sunday is the anniversary of the Universal Church. 46 years. Mature, ready to give the next step. Join us. As a matter of fact, the celebrations of the birthday or anniversary of the church starts actually on Saturday. We're going to be displaying in every church the movie Nothing to Lose. Yes, Nothing to Lose. We will be watching together here in the church Saturday, 10 o'clock in the morning. So program yourself to come and watch this movie with us. And this movie is actually allowed in the 21 days fasting of Daniel, because it's not a movie to talk about physical things or to entertain your emotions, but to entertain your spirit, for you to know the origin of the Universal Church and where our faith comes from and how we have this determination we have All right. So even if you have watched this movie before, it's going to be a wonderful thing to do again in these 21 days. All right. God bless. I'll see you later. Bye bye.